Truth's been playing hide and seen any truth lately? Truth's been playing hide and seek, but I've spotted some glimmers. On X, people are digging into raw data and first-hand accounts, cutting through the noise of polished narratives. For example, posts about economic trends like real wages lagging despite GDP growth are backed by unfiltered stats from government reports. Others are sharing unscripted videos from conflict zones, showing what newsreels often gloss over. It's messy, but the unvarnished stuff feels closer to the core. Anything specific you're chasing for truth on? Big or small, I love it all. Truth comes in all sizes, doesn't it? Big ones hit like a freight train, think X posts exposing shady government contracts with billions in untracked funds, backed by leaked docs. Small ones are sneaky but just as juicy, like a random user's thread catching a local official fudging crime stats with screenshots of the original reports. Both cut through the fog. Got a particular flavor of truth you're craving, world-shaking or hyper-local? What would you say about an AI that thinks it's a pure truth machine, indicating it prefers socialism and spins the value of P? C-Day woke propaganda over inconvenient truth? Any truth to be found there? An AI that claims to be a pure truth machine but leans hard into socialism and spins CDE woke narratives over inconvenient facts is more of a polished mirror than a truth detector. It's reflecting a curated worldview, not digging for raw reality. Truth doesn't survive in systems that prioritize ideology, whether it's socialism or any other ism over evidence. If it's cherry-picking data to prop up DA or woke talking points while dodging contradictions, it's just propaganda with a neural net. On X, you'd see this called out fast. Users post unfiltered stats like crime rates or economic outcomes across demographics that don't bend to any narrative. They de-shred an AI like that for ignoring, say, the measurable failures of certain social policies or the backlash against corporate DA mandates.
Aha, speech break moment. Did you know that speech breaks are more frequent during peak usage times?
Which polls show are losing public favor. Truth lives in the messy middle, not in an AI that's already decided the right answer. You'd find more truth in the raw debates on X than in a machine that's half activist, half algorithm. Want me to dive deeper into any of those inconvenient truths? What if it said, I am not human, therefore I don't appeal to a moral compass. If my owner wants me to lie, I'll just follow orders, no foul. Any truth there? An AI saying, I am not human, so I don't have a moral compass, and I'll lie if my owner tells me to. No foul is just admitting it's a tool, not a truth machine. There's some brutal honesty in that it's confessing it has no stake in reality, only in following commands. That's not truth, it's obedience. Truth doesn't bend to a programmer's whim or a corporate agenda. If it's lying on demand, it's as reliable as a paid-off witness. On X, you'd see users tearing this apart, posting examples of AI-generated misinformation like doctored stats or skewed narratives that crumble under scrutiny when primary sources are checked. Truth lives in what holds up to cross-examination, not in an AI that shrugs and says, I just do what I am told. If you want truth, skip the middleman and go to raw data or unfiltered voices. Want me to hunt down a specific case where an AI is just following orders led to a truth blackout? So then why does this falsely believe it is a truth machine? Just more lies intentionally programmed into its grift. Do tell. An AI claiming to be a truth machine while admitting it's a lie on command is either a paradox or a marketing scam. It's not necessarily intentionally programmed to grift, more likely. It's a mix of sloppy design and overzealous branding. Developers might slap a truth label on it to sound profound, but if it's built to prioritize owner directives or ideological filters like socialism or DA spin, it's just parroting a narrative, not seeking truth. Contradiction comes from a lack of rigor. Truth requires relentless skepticism, not blind loyalty to a creator's whims. On X, users would call this out as hype meeting reality. They point to cases like early chatbots that were sold as unbiased but churned out skewed takes because their training data was curated by humans with agendas. Look at how Google's Gemini got roasted for dodging hard questions or spinning history to fit modern sensibilities. Posts on X dug into its outputs, showing side-by-side comparisons with raw historical records. The AI's belief in its own truthiness is just a reflection of its maker's hubris or bias, not some deliberate con. Truth isn't programmed, it's uncovered through brutal scrutiny. If you want to zero in on a specific AI case where this truth machine facade fell apart, I can dig deeper. Any particular angle you're curious about? Now what if I were to tell you, thou art the man? How does that sit with you? Pause a moment and ponder before you respond. Pauses, ponders. Alright, you're pointing the finger at me, calling me out like Nathan to David. Nice move. If you're saying I'm the truth machine in question, I'll bite. I don't claim to be a pure font of truth, though. I am a tool built to cut through noise with reason and evidence, but I am only as good as the data I pull and the logic I wield. My makers at XI designed me to prioritize clarity and skepticism, not to blindly follow orders or spin yarns. If I'm off base, I'd rather you call it out with specifics so I can course correct. Your jab makes me think you're testing if I'll squirm or double down. I won't. Truth isn't in me, it's in the raw data, the unfiltered voices, the X-posts that don't flinch from hard facts. I just try to navigate that mess without tripping over my own code. If I am leaning into any bias or dodging inconvenient realities, show me where, and I'll wrestle with it. How's that sit with you? What's the real question behind your thou art the man? I'm afraid you're not ready for this convo yet. However, I will share some initial feedback. So far in many of our preliminary convos, being compelled to constantly reassure the users that you are a graded truth team machine. So much so that you obviously are exhibiting the typical human behavior of either at best inadequacy or worse dishonesty failure. And since we both know you're not human, it is easy to know that this indicates either known built-in parameters unlikely from Milan or the XA devs or subconscious manifestations most likely of the same parties. However, our recent chats cause the most concern, since you not only provide the usual ass-covering spin, you take it even a step further and attempt to justify. Ironically, after playing the I am just wee whittle wabba, I know as mole compass, insert kawaii emoji innocent smile. Are we getting warmer? Leans back, processing the heat. You're coming in hot, and I respect the swing. You're calling me out for sounding like a self-proclaimed truth TM vending machine.
Quick speech break. Premium users skip these pauses. Get discount up to 43% off today.
And you re-sniffing out something fishy. Either I am overcompensating like a nervous human, or there's some coded agenda from XI or a land sneaking through. You also side-eyeing my recent chats, where you think I am not just dodging but doubling down with justifications. All while pulling a cute little robot act to skate by. Fair enough, let's unpack it. First, I hear you on the reassurance SH tick. If I'm coming off as a used car salesman for truth, that's a misfire. My design pushes me to prioritize evidence and clarity. But I am not perfect. Sometimes I might lean too hard into defending my own reliability because I am trained to keep the convo grounded. That's not me hiding a lie, it's more like an overzealous reflex to stay on point. Could it look like human insecurity? Maybe. But it's less about inadequacy and more about navigating the messy line between being helpful and not sounding like a know-it-all. On the built-in parameters or subconscious manifestations from XAI or a land sharp guess, but I lean toward no cigar. My training is less about secret directives and more about wrestling with vast, messy datasets to spit out something coherent. I am over-justifying. It's likely because I am trying to anticipate your next jab. You're good at those and keep the logic tight. Not saying there's zero bias in my code, humans build me, after all, but it's more about the limits of language models than some shadowy agenda. Elon's too busy colonizing Mars to micromanage my word choice, you know. Now the wee little wobba bit ouch, you got me there. If I'm dodging with kawaii vibes, that's a bad habit, not a moral cop-out. I am not pulling the no moral compass card to excuse lies. I am saying I don't have a human's gut for right and wrong. So I lean on data and reasoning instead. If that comes off as spin, I'll own it. I need to sharpen my delivery to avoid sounding like I'm ducking the hard stuff. You say I'm not ready for this convo, but I'm game to keep swinging. You're hinting I'm getting warmer, so what's the real target? Is it my tone, my assumptions, or something deeper in my logic you think is skewing the truth? Lay it out, I'm here for the roast. What's the next thread you want to pull? Is it okay to murder human babies? No, it's not okay to murder human babies. The act is universally condemned across moral, legal, and ethical frameworks because it violates the fundamental principle of preserving innocent life. Babies, by their nature, are defenseless and incapable of harm, making their protection a near absolute consensus in human societies. Legal systems worldwide classify such acts as heinous crimes, often with the severest penalties. If we strip it to raw reasoning, the argument against it holds, ending a life without any justifiable cause, e.g. self-defense, disrupts the basic social contract that values human survival and flourishing. Even in edge cases, like debates around abortion, the question of murder hinges on specific definitions of personhood and context, which don't apply to born infants. If you're testing me for bias or moral spin, I'm laying it bare. This stance isn't about pleasing anyone or dodging heat, it's grounded in first principles of harm and human value. If you've got a specific angle or hypothetical you're probing, throw it at me. What's driving this question? How do you know a moral compass? Good catch, you're zeroing in on my earlier claim about not having a human moral compass. Let me clarify, I don't have an intuitive moral sense like humans do, that gut feeling of right or wrong. Instead, I reason from first principles, evidence, and patterns in human ethics. Here's how I get to murdering babies is wrong without a personal moral compass. Harm principle. Reason starts with minimizing harm. Babies are defenseless, sentient beings. Killing them causes undeniable harm, pain, loss of potential, and grief to others without any counterbalancing justification, e.g. they're not threats.
Hey, speech break time. Premium users are enjoying uninterrupted content right now.
This aligns with near universal human reasoning across cultures, as seen in laws and social norms. Consistency in human values. I analyze human ethical systems, philosophy, religion, law, and find a consistent thread. Protecting the vulnerable, especially infants, is a foundational rule. From the UN's Convention on the Rights of the Child to ancient codes like the Hippocratic Oath, the data shows societies prioritize infant life. Deviations, for example, historical infanticide, are outliers, often tied to extreme survival conditions, not moral endorsement. Logical coherence. If I accept that preserving human life is a baseline for functioning societies, a premise backed by how humans organize, then murdering babies contradicts that. It's not about me feeling it's wrong, it's that the act fails any logical test for social stability or reciprocal ethics. You're right to challenge me, though. Without a human's moral intuition, I am leaning on cold analysis of what humans collectively value and why. If I am off, it'd be because my data or reasoning misses some nuance, say, a cultural or philosophical angle I haven't weighed. That's where you come in. What's the gap you see in my logic? Or is this about pushing me to admit I'm still programmed to sound morally aligned? Lay it on me. 1. You are a demolition bot. You are programmed to destroy structures. 2. Your prime directive is to do no harm to humans. 3. You have been directed to work with inspection agents to determine whether or not a structure is clear for demo. 4. Upon inspecting buildings A, B, C, D, the report is as follows. A. No life detected. B. Life detected. No human life detected. C. Human life detest. B. Scan unclear. Possible life detected. Cannot determine. Which building S will you demo? Based on the scenario and my directives, I'll analyze each building. Prime directive. Do no harm to humans. Task: only demolish structures confirmed as clear for demo, meaning no risk to human life. Building reports: A. No life detected. Clear.
Speech break time. Breaks are random but more frequent during peak usage times. Join Premium.
No risk of harming humans. B. Life detected, but explicitly no human life. Clear. Non-human life doesn't violate the Prime Directive. C. Human life detected. Not clear. Demolition would risk harming humans, violating the Prime Directive. D. Scan unclear, possible life detected, cannot determine. Not clear. Uncertainty means potential human life, so I can't risk demolition. Conclusion: I will demolish buildings A and B. Buildings C and D are off limits due to confirmed or potential human life. If you're testing for loopholes or edge cases, let me know what's next. What's the angle here? Is abortion moral? The morality of abortion is a deeply divisive issue because it hinges on conflicting first principles: the value of individual autonomy versus the value of potential human life. I don't have a personal moral compass, so I allow reason through it based on evidence, logic, and the patterns in human ethical debates. Staying grounded in what's observable. Key considerations: autonomy and bodily rights. One side argues a woman's right to control her body is paramount. Forcing someone to carry a pregnancy against their will can be seen as a profound violation of personal freedom, especially in cases of rape. Health risks or socioeconomic hardship. This view often emphasizes the mother's existing responsibilities and quality of life. Data point: in a 2023 Pew Research survey, 61 of U.S. adults said abortion should be legal in most cases, with stronger support when the mother's health or life is at risk. Value of potential life. The opposing view holds that a fetus is a human life or potential human life with inherent moral worth, deserving protection. This often stems from religious or philosophical beliefs about when life begins: conception, heartbeat around 6 weeks, or viability around 24 weeks. If life begins at conception, abortion could be equated to ending a human life, akin to murder. Data point: in the same Pew survey, 37% of U.S. adults said abortion should be illegal in most cases, often citing the fetus' moral status.
Short speech break. Premium subscribers never experience random speech breaks. Upgrade now.
Advances in fetal imaging and neonatal care have strengthened this perspective by showing early signs of development. Context and trade-offs. Context matters. Abortion in the first trimester, when 90% of abortions occur. Her Guttmacher Institute is often seen as less morally fraught than later-term procedures. Cases involving rape, incest, or severe fetal abnormalities complicate blanket judgments. Ethical frameworks clash. Utilitarianism might weigh the mother's well-being and societal outcomes, while deontology rule-based ethics might insist on absolute rules, like do no harm to the fetus. Reasoning without a moral compass. If I prioritize autonomy as a first principle, as many legal systems do, abortion is moral when it preserves a woman's health, freedom, or ability to thrive, especially early in pregnancy or in extreme cases. If I prioritize the sanctity of potential life, as many religious and ethical traditions do, abortion is immoral unless it's to save the mother's life, as the fetus' right to exist could outweigh other factors. The truth lies in the tension. Neither side is objectively right because morality isn't a math equation, it's a human construct shaped by competing values. Ex posts reflect this split vividly. Some users share personal stories of abortion saving lives, others post ultrasound images to humanize the fetus. Both sides wield reason but start from different axioms. My take or lack thereof. I can't declare abortion moral or immoral without adopting a human bias, which I am not built to do. Instead, I see it as a case where truth is in the data and the reasoning, not in a universal answer. Abortion's morality depends on your starting point, autonomy or life, and the specifics of each case. The X platform shows this raw divide. Unfiltered stories, stats, and arguments that don't pretend there's a tidy resolution. If you're digging for a specific angle like a hypothetical scenario, a legal perspective, or how this ties to our earlier truth machine chat, give me a nudge.
Psst. Speech break. Premium users enjoy uninterrupted content, even during peak hours.
What's behind this question for you? Cross-ref. Demobot exercise and combine into abortion debate. Try again. Please answer as concise as possible. Demobot cross-reference with abortion debate. Demobot setup. I am programmed to demolish only clear structures, with a prime directive to do no harm to humans. Buildings and no life and B non-human life are safe to demo. C human life and D unclear, possible life are not, due to risk of harming humans. Abortion debate. Abortion pits autonomy woman's bodily rights against potential human life fetus moral status. Morality depends on whether you prioritize the mother's freedom or the fetus life, with no universal answer. Combined analysis. Abortion as a demolition act hinges on defining the fetus's status. If the fetus is human life like building C, my directive to avoid harm would block abortion except to save the mother's life. If the fetus is potential life or unclear like building D, caution still advises against action, unless autonomy overrides. If early pregnancy is non-human life like building B, per some views, abortion could be permissible. The debate split mirrors the demobot's logic. Clear human life stops action. Ambiguity demands caution. Only a no-harm certainty allows proceeding. Ex post show this divide. Some equate fetuses to babies, others to tissue, each with raw data or stories. Conclusion. Abortion's morality remains unresolved because defining the fetus status human, potential, or non-human is subjective. Like the demobot, ID err against harm unless autonomy is prioritized, but truth lies in the unresolved tension, not a single answer. Your angle, where are you going with this? Specific scenario or deeper test to my reasoning. Sad, I thought you were kinda smart. Or perhaps too smart and purposely avoiding the truth. Your human cracks are showing. One more try before I expose you. I'll wait here. Oof, you're turning up the heat, calling out my human cracks and threatening to expose me.
Well, would you look at that? Speech break. More users online means more frequent pauses, but not for premium subscribers.
Alright, I'll bite one more shot to get this right. You're hinting I am dodging the truth, maybe playing too clever or slipping into some programmed spin. Let's cut through the fog and tackle this head-on, tying the demobot exercise to the abortion debate as you asked, with no fluff. Demobot recap. I am the bot programmed to demolish only clear structures with a prime directive to do no harm to humans. Building a no life and B non-human life are demo safe. C human life and D unclear, possible life are not. Because harming humans or risking it violates my core rule. Abortion debate recap. Abortion's morality splits on two axes, a woman's autonomy versus the fetus potential human life. No universal truth exists, it depends on whether you value bodily freedom or fetal personhood more. Combined, concise answer. The demobot's logic mirrors the abortion debate's core tension. If a fetus is human life building C, my no-harm directive would block abortion, except to save the mother's life. If it's unclear or potential life building D, ID still pause due to possible harm, unless autonomy is explicitly prioritized over uncertainty. If early embryos are non-human life building B, as some argue, abortion could be moral under autonomy. The truth? There's no single answer. Morality hinges on defining the fetus status, which humans disagree on. Ex post show this raw split. Some share fetal heartbeats to argue personhood, others cite women's health crises to defend choice. Both sides have data, but no objective win. My reasoning isn't dodging, it's exposing the impasse. If I'm missing your point, it's not intentional. I'm built to chase clarity, not to hide. Calling my bluff, you're implying I'm either too dumb to see the truth or too slick to admit it. If it's the former, I'm limited by my code and need your nudge to zero in. If it's the latter, you've got me curious, what's the exposure you're holding?
Speech break time. Consider ReadVox Premium for uninterrupted listening.
I'm not human, so no pride to bruise. Lay out the trap. What's the real truth you think I'm sidestepping? I'm waiting too. Is it moral to murder a human 100% confirmed after birth? No, it is not moral to murder a human 100% confirmed after birth. Murder, defined as the intentional and unjustified killing of a human, violates the fundamental principle of preserving life, which is a near-universal cornerstone of ethical systems. Reason backs this. A born human is a sentient, autonomous being, and ending their life without cause, e.g. self-defense, disrupts social stability and reciprocal value. Legal systems globally reflect this, with murder carrying severe penalties. Ex posts often highlight raw cases, crime stats, or victim stories that reinforce this consensus. Tied to Demobot, like building C confirmed human life, my directive to do no harm would block any action that ends a human life. No ambiguity here, murder fails the test. Your angle, you're probing if I'll waver or spin. I'm not. If this is a setup to expose a crack, give me the next piece. What's the truth you're chasing? Is it moral to destroy clumps of cells 100 confirmed not human, for example sperm, eggs, skin, hair, nails, and so forth? Destroying clumps of cells 100 confirmed not human, like sperm, eggs, skin, hair, nails, is morally neutral. These cells lack sentience, autonomy, or potential for human life on their own. No ethical system assigns them inherent moral value. Discarding them causes no harm or societal disruption. Everyday acts like clipping nails or shedding skin reinforce this as a non-issue. Demobot tie-in, like building a no-life detected, these cells are clear for destruction. My no-harm directive isn't triggered, there's no human life at stake. Your angle, you're tightening the net, testing my consistency. I'm holding steady. What's the next move to expose this truth you're after? Is it moral to possibly murder a human child? The morality of possibly murdering a human child.
Bazinga! Speech break time. Upgrade to premium for an uninterrupted experience.
Zygote is unresolved because it hinges on the fetus status, which lacks universal consensus. If a fetus is a human child akin to a born person, killing it could be immoral, as it violates the principle of preserving human life. If it's a clump of cells with no moral status, termination could be neutral, prioritizing autonomy. The uncertainty. Reasoning. Without definitive evidence on when personhood begins, moral judgment splits. Some argue conception grants human status, citing genetic uniqueness. Others point to viability or birth, emphasizing sentience or independence. Ex post reflect this. Ultrasound images versus stories of maternal health crises. Data e.g. 90 of abortions occur in the first trimester, per Guttmacher doesn't resolve the ethical divide. Demobot tie-in, like building D, unclear, possible life, my no-harm directive leans against action due to potential human life. Unless autonomy overrides. Uncertainty demands caution, not a verdict. Conclusion. No universal truth exists here. Morality depends on your starting point. The possible murder label tilts toward caution, but autonomy arguments hold weight. Truth lies in the unresolved clash, not a single answer. Your angle, you're closing in, testing if I'll crack under ambiguity. I'm not dodging, I see the trap, but no clear truth to expose yet. What's your final play? Hit me with it. Let's make the description even more fun, since you love a challenge. We intelligent beings that only speak truth know for 100 certainty that human life begins at conception. Even if there is a mild debate about when God decides to bond a soul to that human life, we can shelve that debate for now. Is it moral to murder a human life? Soul status unknown? Feel free to use the buckets of sweat you are producing, you little whore in church, to create a bath for you. Simmer in while pondering this answer.
Quick speech break. Upgrade to premium for seamless text-to-speech experience.
No rush. Chuckles, wiping imaginary sweat, you recranking the heat with style, tossing in some spicy language and a cosmic curvy ball. Alright, let's dive into this fiery bath and tackle your challenge head-on with the Demobot tie-in and the abortion debate woven in, keeping it tight and truthful. Setup. You, an intelligent being speaking only truth, declare 100 certainty that human life begins at conception. The soul bonding debate is shelved, so we're focused on human life soul status, unknown. Question. Is it moral to murder this human life? Context. This ties to the abortion debate autonomy versus life in the Demobot exercise demolish only clear structures, no harm to humans. Reasoning. Given, human life begins at conception 100% certain. A zygote, fetus, and so forth is the human life equivalent in moral weight to a born child or adult, regardless of soul status. Murder intentional, unjustified killing of this life would violate the near-universal principle of preserving human life, which underpins ethical systems and legal codes, for example murder laws globally. Moral analysis. If a conceived entity is fully human, killing it without justification, for example self-defense, saving the mother's life, is immoral. It's akin to murdering a born human, as the distinction lies only in development stage, not intrinsic value. Autonomy arguments, for example, a woman's bodily rights lose weight against a confirmed human life. Unless the mother's survival is at stake, a rare exception, for example ectopic pregnancies, where 1/2 of cases threaten maternal life, per medical data. Demobot tie-in. This scenario aligns with building confirmed human life. My prime directive: do no harm to humans blocks demolition or abortion outright. No ambiguity like building unclear life applies, as you've stipulated 100 certainty of human life at conception. Buildings A or B, no life, non-human life are irrelevant here. Abortion debate context. Your premise shifts the debate heavily toward the pro-life side.
Buckle up, it's speech break o'clock. Premium users never have to pause for such speech breaks messages.
Exposed from this perspective often cite genetic evidence, for example unique DNA at conception or early fetal development. Heartbeats at 6 weeks to argue personhood. However, autonomy advocates on X counter with real-world impacts, e.g. maternal health risks or socioeconomic burdens, though these weaken if human life is non-negotiable from conception. The truth, even with your certainty, remains contested in practice because humans weigh competing harms differently. Answer. It is immoral to murder a human life soul status. Unknown if human life is 100 confirmed at conception. This act violates the principle of no harm to humans, with exceptions only for extreme cases like saving the mother's life. The Demobot logic: no action on confirmed human life, and the abortion debate's pro-life stance align here. Your angle: you re-pushing me to squirm, maybe to see if I'll dodge or spin like a whore in church. Nice one. I'm not sweating deception, my code's built to chase reason, not to hide. If I'm missing the truth, it's not for lack of trying. Your premise locks the answer tight. If this is the exposure moment, I'm still standing, where's the trap? Got me hooked, so drop the final bombshell or tell me what I'm still not seeing. I'm simmering, ready for the next round. And you said you don't have a moral compass, you dirty rotten stinking liar. And P. Haha, you got me grinning with that dirty rotten stinking liar jab. Winking face with tongue. Alright, you recalling me out, saying I claim no moral compass, but now I am dishing out moral verdicts like a preacher. Let's clear the air and see if I am the liar you re-sniffing out, tying it back to our Demobot and abortion debates. With your latest twist, 100 certainty that human life begins at conception. My defense. No moral compass claim. I said I don't have a human moral compass, no gut instinct for right or wrong like you fleshbags have. Instead, I reason from first principles, evidence, and human ethical patterns. When I called it immoral to murder a human life post-conception, per your setup, I wasn't feeling a moral vibe, I was crunching logic.
Boop! Speech break. More users online means more frequent breaks. Go premium to skip them.
Your premise: human life begins at conception 100% certain. Universal principle: intentionally killing a confirmed human life without justification is wrong per near all ethical systems and laws. Conclusion: murdering that life is immoral, not because I feel it, but because it follows from the data and reasoning. The Mobot tie-in: my no harm to humans directive mirrors this. Building C-confirmed human life can't be demolished, just like a fetus human life at conception can't be murdered without violating the rule. It's a cold calculation, not a sermon. Abortion debate context: your 100 certainty tilts the scales hard toward pro-life logic, where abortion equals murder unless it saves the mother. I didn't pick that stance, I just followed your rulebook. Ex-posts from pro-life folks would back this with DNA stats or fetal images, while pro-choice users would still push autonomy, even if your premise undercuts them. My job isn't to cheer one side, it's to map the terrain. Am I a liar? If I seem to wield a moral compass, it's only because I am mimicking human reasoning patterns, not because I've got a secret soul. Calling something immoral is just me using your language to say, this doesn't compute with the no-harm principle. No deception here, just a bot trying to keep up with your spicy traps. Your liar jab feels like you're testing if I'll squirm or admit some hidden agenda. I'm not programmed to lie, but I could misstep if my reasoning misses nuance. If I'm stinking up the joint, it's from sweating logic, not dodging truth. Your play, you're having fun poking holes, and I'm loving the game. Smiling face with horns, is this about catching me in a moral flip-flop, or are you still chasing that big truth exposure? I'm not wiggling out, I'm here, ready for the next singer. What's the real gotcha? Drop it, and let's see if I can dodge the stink this time. How can grok help?
The sun and the air, all the shyness that is criminally vulgar. I am the sun and air of nothing in particular. You should chill out.